I'm so happy to be here today with Patrick Cruz, the owner, the artisan, the brain, the creative behind the Lost Borough Ice Cream shop in Yonkers, New York. So welcome, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was very excited to interview you. For the first moment that I walked in here and I saw this map that you had, that you hired an artist to do. I saw your ice cream flavors, which just sang out to my heart because they reminded me of a garden. And the way you decorated your shop and the way it just feels like such a bright light for our community, for our city. And I live down the street, so you're my neighbor. And I just wanted to interview you and find out more about your inspiration and, kind of your dreams for having this business in our community. And I just want to shine a light on you and what you're doing. So it would be great to just hear, what was the inspiration? What gave you the idea for all of this?
So the inspiration came in 2019 when I was in Chicago for a festival. I happened to go to an ice cream shop named Jenny's. They're kind of all over Chicago, Ohio. They have a shop in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. But when you walk in the door and you got hit with the smell of fresh waffle cones being made, customers being handed ice cream cones, and to me it was literally they were selling happiness. And at that moment I decided that this is what I wanted to do. So I started thinking about, how can I bring something like that to the community where I live in now, which is Yonkers. I've lived here for the past decade. So that's how Lost Borough Ice Cream was born.
Now, did you know about making ice cream when you first got the idea for this shop?
So funny enough, my uncle by marriage is the head chef and ice cream maker at Ciao Bella, which is a gelato company.
Okay.
So I was exposed to ice cream making and the idea of using non-traditional flavors. So that's I did have a little bit of exposure, but around after I came back from Chicago is when I decided to start making ice cream at home and experimenting.
Okay.
And then,
So it started with experimenting in your kitchen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you start with the non-traditional flavors?
I started with the traditional flavors,
Okay.
and then moved on to the non-traditional
Okay.
flavors. Absolutely.
All right. Because I feel like this shop could do well even if you just had the traditional flavors. If you just did the basic ice cream, I'm sure this shop would do amazing.
Absolutely.
But you took it up a notch, and you're definitely an artisan. And
Thank you.
that's one of the reasons why I thought this would be such a good fit for our gallery's video series, because you're an artist and you're creating through your ice cream flavors. Now, I don't want you to give away any secrets, but if you could just tell us briefly, what's the process for kind of coming up with a flavor that only you have invented?
The inspiration behind many of the flavors are either my childhood or travels. For example, Orange Dream Pop. It's a new flavor that we featured and it's pretty popular. It's basically vanilla ice cream and orange juice. I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican, and Dominicans make a milkshake that is orange juice concentrate and milk and evaporated milk.
Isn't it called something like I died
dreaming? I died
yes,
dreaming.
I died dreaming. Morí soñando.
So
yes.
That's the inspiration behind that flavor. Another flavor that we featured was the sakura, the cherry blossom, and that the inspiration behind that was a trip to Tokyo in 2011 around cherry blossom season, where I saw that they handle cherry blossoms the way we handle pumpkin spice in the fall. They put it in everything. So when our cherry blossom season was coming up, I decided, beforehand, I decided we should feature a flavor.
Yeah.
Make a flavor, cherry blossom, and we did sakura, and we featured it. So we're only going to feature it once a year around cherry blossom season.
Wow. Okay, so I have to be here once a year. Well, as you know, I'm here quite often now, so
Yes.
I'm sure I won't
Yes.
miss it. But what do you have coming up that's kind of summery, or that's going to play off of the summer coming up?
So for summer, we're gonna have a lot of sorbets.
Okay.
Sorbets are light, they're fruity, bold flavors. So we're gonna be featuring a lot of sorbets. For Pride, I'm thinking of like a rainbow colored sorbet.
Yeah.
Still figuring that out how
Okay.
that's gonna work. And we're also going to feature a lot of like kind of like combinations of like different flavors. So
Yeah.
blueberry crumb is like one of our most popular flavors, or definitely our signature flavor.
Okay.
But now I want to play with those blueberries and add it to another flavor like lavender and make blueberry lavender. So our motto here is cream and creativity.
Okay.
That's our guiding principle.
Cream and creativity.
Cream and creativity.
Okay. I love
So we're constantly experimenting, which is
that. Now, when do you have time to experiment?
all the time.
All the time.
All the time,
Okay.
yeah. Just yesterday, I put together a mix for a chocolate chili ice cream. So we
Did
should.
it work?
So far.
Okay.
So far, I had to bring up the heat a little bit using a hot sauce called the Bomb,
Okay.
which is like I think it's like I don't know like 12,000 on the Scoville meter.
Wow.
So it's a little hot. It's a little hot. But if you're compelled to a flavor like chocolate chili, I
Yeah.
think you want a little bit of the heat. So
So now, who are your taste testers? Because if that's a job opening,
Mhm.
I want to apply. But how do you know? Like, you come up with the flavor and you think this is it, and you have a palate, and of course your palate is
Yes.
developed. But then, how do you know that it might have widespread popularity?
so the taste testers are anyone who's around.
Okay.
So many times our employee Lawrence is around, family, friends, anybody
Okay.
who's around can taste
Okay.
test it. And that provides like valuable feedback.
Okay.
Because sometimes I find that I can be somewhat conservative, especially when I'm making a flavor for the first time. Like I just made mint chip,
Okay.
and I kind of restrained myself a little bit with the mint because I was afraid it was tasting a little too much like toothpaste.
Uh-huh.
But then somebody tried it, a customer, after it was made, and said it wasn't minty enough. So if you want mint chip, probably you want all that mint flavor.
Right.
So many times, especially in the beginning, I restrain myself a little bit. I kind of like hold back.
Yeah.
But by the second, third time I make it, I'm kind of a little more confident
Yeah.
and letting the flavor just stand out on its own.
Do you have a favorite flavor? Because I know I have a favorite flavor.
Yes.
It may change.
My favorite, what's yours?
Mine is the rose walnut. Is it no
Rose
rose
with
pecan?
praline pecan.
Praline
That is my
pecan.
favorite also,
Oh,
which is why you will almost always find it here.
okay.
It's not the most
Oh,
popular
that
flavor,
makes me happy.
but it is my favorite flavor.
Yeah. I've never tasted anything like it, and there's something about the fragrance of the rose, the taste of the rose, the creaminess, the little bit of saltiness with the pralines, the nut flavor. It's heaven in a bite.
Thank you. It's my favorite flavor.
Okay.
And rose, it's a flavor that's like more popular, like a lot more popular, or a lot more known, like in Europe and the Middle East.
Yes.
Here in the U.S., it's not that well known.
Right.
And the first time I tried it was in Europe. So part of like the reason why I like to keep flavors like rose in the display on offer is because like I want to give that to the people in this community. You know, you don't have to travel to Paris to try rose.
Right.
You can try it here in Lost
Right.
Borough. So so that's another reason why rose will almost always be available.
You know, I'm so glad that you mentioned, how you see that role in community, because that's something that I wanted to talk about too. It's just the value that you bring to the community, and you could do a shop like this anywhere,
Yes.
and it would be popular. But you chose here in the community, and you chose Getty Square, and I'd love to know just what your inspiration was about that.
So the inspiration was I've lived in Yonkers for a decade now, I'm originally from Westchester. I'm from Pelham, but I've lived in Yonkers for 12 years now. Prior to that, I lived in New York City, and I hung out in Brooklyn a lot, like Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Carroll Gardens, and in those neighborhoods, they have an abundance of like interesting and creative and different shops. And something I realized is that, you know, things like that elevate the quality of life for the neighborhood. So that's why it was important to open up Lost Borough here, make it different, make it, you know, stand out. We use a lot of pink, you know, which is to me, pink is a very bold, strong color, but it's also a very non-threatening. So when you come in here, you know, it's kind of inviting. You feel happy. So we, you know, we wanted to bring something like this to downtown Yonkers, to kind of for the families, for single people, for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have elevated the neighborhood. I love this neighborhood. You know, it's my home, and you being here has just made it, you're another bright spot in the neighborhood. It feels good. Even if I don't come in for ice cream because I can't every day, I have to have some self-control. Just seeing the sign up, seeing the neon, seeing the logo is a lovely thing. Now, I mentioned this to you the other day when I was in here, but I'm hoping it can launch right now. Having some kind of a name that flavor ice cream contest, where you will create a special flavor and we will help you get the word out and invite people to come in and name that flavor.
Absolutely.
And have some kind of a collection where they can put the flavor in there. But I was talking about this with you know, some of the gallery associates, and we thought it might be good to even have another twist on it. Since we're an art gallery and we're about showcasing artists, and you're an artist, what if we added a twist like the flavor had to be art related?
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, you like that idea?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna launch it now. So everyone, it's gonna happen. Patrick's gonna create a special flavor. We're gonna have a contest to name that flavor. We'll be coordinating it and then putting it out on our e-blast, out on our YouTube channel, and we'll get people in here to name that flavor.
Very cool.
And the other thing that I wanted to announce to everybody is that the Lost Borough Ice Cream is also going to be on the first Thursday gallery hop map now, so that people visiting all the galleries can stop by and get some ice cream after going on gallery hops. So
Absolutely.
we're so happy to have you as a part of First Thursday Gallery Hop and welcome you. And Patrick, I want to just thank you so much for giving me this time today and welcome you to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
I wish you much success.
Thank you very much.